Hey, my friends, and welcome to episode 3 of The Long Game. This one is going to be a little bit off the cuff. I've been reading your comments in the forum, and I'm about to embark upon a big job that is doing all of the check ins, which I love. I honestly, it always feels like such a big job when it's coming up, but when I get into it, I fucking love it. And I have to limit myself because I know sometimes I like to go off on tangents and give you guys a whole spiel and a whole story, but that's only because I know that the check-ins are so pivotal to the way we connect and the way you are held accountable and the way we get you results for the long game. So what I wanted to speak to today is this idea of letting ourselves off the hook versus practicing some discipline, and how do we know when we're supposed to do one or the other? And to put things into context, I want to tell you guys a little bit where I'm at and how I'm feeling to give you some context as to when I speak to discipline, I'm not necessarily coming from a place of feeling really good, because I know that it can be easy to look at people from the outside. And when you see someone practicing discipline, it's like, well, they can do that because XYZ, because they're feeling good, because their life is organized, because they've got a partner who does this, because their kid is this, because their body is this, because their appearance is this, and they've got this kind of privilege. And whilst a lot of those things might be true, all that does is seek to disservice you, because you're spending all of your time thinking about all the reasons why they can and you can't, instead of spending all your time trying to work out and trying to strategize and trying to come up with the reasons why you can. Because in the end, there is always going to be a reason why you can't do something. And if you focus on those things, you are only going to see those things. We have to actually put ourselves in the mindset or the mind frame of forcing ourselves to think about, how the fuck am I going to make this work? Because that's the only way through, right? So I'm on day 26 of my cycle, and this is typically in my household known as the day where Beck will probably just cry intermittently all day. And I didn't film anything at my gym session this morning, the gym session that I nearly didn't get to, the gym session that I was supposed to go to at 5 o'clock this morning, but I don't even remember turning off my alarm. And I was there doing my, what usually feels like really powerful 14-kilo shoulder press, and I could feel the tears welling. And in between every single set, in the downtime, in the rest time, I was consciously having to have a conversation with myself about how I was going to stay, how I was going to stick it out, how I was not going to drop reps, I was not going to drop sets, and I was not going to go home early. To put that into further context, my nervous system has had a couple of really big jolts over the last few days, which can make things extra difficult because we know I am autistic. I suspect I'm ADHD. I have concerns around potentially symptoms relating to post-traumatic stress disorder, because what I've started to notice is that when I get a big shock, it derails me a lot, and it can take me a long time, days, to calm down, despite knowing all the tips, knowing all the tricks, doing all the things, the breath work, the meditation, the la 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 la. Last night, my dad fell down the stairs of our house, which was a really big shock to my nervous system. He's in his 70s, and while he's quite a robust man, he has not let anyone help him or check him or anything like that. And I spent a lot of last night wondering if he was going to die in his sleep from a internal head injury. Further to that, we woke up this morning and I was convinced in my very late in my cycle, medical anxious brain that Otis had a life-threatening illness. And all of this is likely contributed to and compounded by the fact that yesterday I went to a really big social event. And I know that everyone's listening to this going, oh, because now you understand. Yesterday we went to what's it called? The Summer Something series. And it was Crowded House playing at Rochford Winery, which 6 months ago when we bought the ticket sounded like a really good idea. And then sitting in the back seat, crammed in, very loud conversations happening, multiple conversations happening, very little airflow. And I immediately regretted my decision. We got there, it was incredibly hot, and I realized that what I actually signed up to was sitting in the sun, being completely baked, listening to music that felt way too loud, whilst also simultaneously having to try to maintain conversations with people. And because I had not driven there myself, had absolutely no way of leaving or escaping or going for any downtime. There were no buildings available because that was all for the VIP. The best I could do was go and sit in a portaloo, which, as you will know, in the Australian summer at a festival is not somewhere that you want to go and hang out. So I put my loops in and I did my best to function. Then when we left, it was 2 hours just to get out of the car park. So all in all, a really stretchy, overstimulating, big weekend thrown out by a couple of incidents. And I am not feeling my best. I am not feeling my best. And so moving forward in the week, I haven't had a great sleep. I've managed to do my bare minimum, which is get my workout done and get my social media for the day done. And now I'm embarking upon recording this for you guys and then following through with a couple of check-ins. And the thing that came to me that I wanted to speak on with all of that context in mind was like, how do I personally decide whether or not I want to do something or whether or not I want to give myself a break? So things that I entertained today were like, maybe I just need to sit on the couch and watch my favorite TV show. Maybe I just need to go and have a sleep. Maybe I don't want to work out today. I can work out tomorrow. Nathan's home and I don't necessarily need to do things when Otis is in childcare. It definitely makes it easier when he's in childcare. And the reason that I've picked to stick to the things that I know is because I know that in the long run, the thing that is going to make me feel the best, the thing that is going to stabilize my mental health, the thing that is going to stabilize my nervous system the most is making myself feel proud and accomplished. Those are the things that are huge drivers for me. And what I often see when people are having a hard time is finding ways to justify actions or behaviors that might feel good in the moment, but are not going to make you feel good in the long run. So this might be me sitting and scrolling and dissociating on social media for an hour, 2 hours, and pretending that I'm doing market research, which a lot of us who have Instagram businesses, we like to say it's market research. But that's not really going to get me anywhere other than feeling like shit, getting lost in comparison, seeing a heap of things or ideas or bringing into my mind a heap of information, global information, news information, information about world events that's not necessarily regulating. All of that is going to bring in extra noise. And in a time when I'm already fighting against the noise of my own brain, I'm already struggling with my internal dialogue, having all of that extra noise is not going to serve me. Plus, we know the added downside of being on our phone, the higher the cortisol, the exposure to the blue light, the way that scrolling affects the dopamine and the capacity our brain has to regulate the hormones that can help us feel happy and help us feel good and help us feel aligned and, in that self-protective mental health and other things that I thought, maybe I want to eat something. Maybe I want to self-soothe. Maybe I deserve to have that cupcake in the fridge. And whilst all of these things can be okay things to do, we have to ask ourselves in the context of having goals, in the context of having outcomes that we're trying to move towards. When we are in this shitty place and we are struggling and we are contemplating or perhaps negotiating or bargaining with ourselves, the thing you have to be able to come back to, and it's through a process of internal conversation, is that thing that I'm going to do in order to manage my current emotional state, is that taking me further towards where I want to go, or is it taking me further away from where I want to go? Is that thing going to cause me more stress in the long run because I'm not getting A, B, C done that I said I would do in this time, and that means I'm going to have to put that in somewhere else in my calendar? Is that going to cause me more stress in the long run? Am I simply delaying making a decision now? Am I delaying taking an action now that, whilst that might feel good right now, is actually going to make things worse later in the week? For me, that's trying to tell myself that I'm going to do things when Otis is home. I'm going to record a podcast when Otis is home. I'm going to go work out when Otis is home. And then when he's home, something happens. He's dysregulated. I'm dysregulated, whatever the case may be. And that can't happen. And then I have to renegotiate that again. And so the idea of discipline and the concept of discipline for so many of us, very masculine bro side of discipline, it's very push hard, rah, rah, do it. It's very commando style. If you don't do it, you're a piece of shit. And I still see people talking about it in this context online. But what I want you to understand is that if you can reframe discipline and come to a place where discipline is, how am I moving towards the best version of myself? How am I moving towards the goals that I want to achieve with the most compassion I can possibly muster? How can I make sure that the actions I'm taking are aligned with where I want to go and not taking me further down a path that I don't want to continue down, or further away from the goals that I'm seeking to achieve? Because in the end, I'm really motivated by moving towards my goals. I'm really motivated by becoming the woman that I see holding this long game empire, holding this long game community, being there for you guys, being able to step up and step in and lead by example. And so when I'm starting to think about like, well, what do I want to do today? It's like, well, is scrolling on social media going to make me fucking happy? Is going and binging on foods that don't necessarily make me feel good in the long run going to make me fucking happy? Is going and neglecting all of my work and all of the things that I said I was going to do, is not doing the things that I said I'm going to do make me fucking happy? Or is it all going to make me miserable, give me a temporary, momentary respite where I could be going and doing something that is way more productive and that is going to then realign me with all of those things that I need to do and bring the energy in order to step into all of those things that I need to do? Because so many people tell me they want to be happy, they want to have the body of their dreams, or they want to move towards a more healthy body composition, start to become the person that does what they say they're going to do. And yet, when I prompt people to, well, fucking delete your social media, how much, like, what is your screen time? Stop drinking soft drink. Stop drinking soft drink. Soft drink is a huge problem for your hormones, for your system. It's got so many chemicals in it that none of us should be ingesting. When's the last time you actually went out and worked on your mindset? When's the last time you journaled? When's the last time you sat with yourself? When's the last time you meditated? Because we're all so happy to be like, I'm here, I'm moving towards my better self, I'm doing, I'm growing. And this might be my luteal side coming through, but it's like, what the fuck are you doing in order to move towards those things? And where are you still falling back on crutches? Like, yeah, I guess I do scroll too much. Like, fucking change that. Fucking change that. Start to have that internal conversation with yourself that is like, is this going to move me towards where I want to be? Is this bringing me closer to my goals? Or is this taking me further away from that? And yeah, sometimes rest might be the right answer, because moving towards the goals that you say that you want, part of that might be, I want to have more compassion for myself. I want to stop pushing myself so hard. I want to relax the expectations of myself so that I can have more sustainable progress. It isn't always about pushing in terms of intensity or frequency. Sometimes it is about taking rest, but it mostly is about being able to have that internal conversation. And when we are scrolling all the time, when we are dissociating through food, when we are not prioritizing any kind of self-inquiry, we don't have that internal conversation. We just do automatically. We just move around the world in this automatic capacity and then turn around and wonder why things aren't working. Things aren't working because you need to stop, slow down, and actually ask yourself, is this moving me towards where I want to go? And if it's not, actually taking responsibility for that, being accountable to yourself and not always relying on someone external, because I know that I'm going to read through some check-ins today and there's going to be a few people who are like, so I know I've talked about this before, but, and my response to you is going to be like, how long are we going to have these conversations for? How many more check-ins are you going to do where you're like, oh, I really know I need to change, or I really know I need to stop that habit, or I really know I need to bring down my screen time? Like, if you're serious about bringing down your screen time, get an app blocker. Delete fucking Instagram. If you have people on Instagram or you're following things that make you feel like shit, go and delete them. We all have total capacity to audit the fuck out of our environment and make sure that we are only seeing, we are only exposing our mind to, we are only exposing our heart and our sensitive energies to the things that are going to make us feel better. And yes, obviously, I take into account the fact that we have children and people and families and things in our lives that we don't have complete control over. But when it comes to things like Instagram, when it comes to things like whatever you're going to put in your mouth, when it comes to what you're putting into your mind, what you're exposing yourself to, and the way you're having conversations with yourself, you have complete control over this. And it's time to start acting like it. It's time to start stepping into that version of you, because whilst you might have put her out here and said, she's out here, she does all these things, she's this version of me. And I know that when you sign up, you have to tell me about this version of yourself in the future. She does XYZ. She always goes to the gym. She does what she says she's going to do. She eats really well. She prioritizes XYZ. You can do all those things now. Like, the action step I want you to take from this little podcast episode is, if you had to sit and you had to list all of the things that the future version of you, who does everything, who's happy, who's regulated, who prioritizes her mindset, who prioritizes her mental health, who prioritizes her food, who prioritizes her nutrition, that version of you, what does she do when she wakes up in the morning? Is it firstly goes and picks up her phone and starts scrolling Instagram? Is she the woman who, when her kids are trying to talk to her, she doesn't hear them because she's so lost in a scroll hole? And none of this is judgment, because this is all stuff that I'm trying to change. Is she the person who puts her needs last and then finds that by 2 p.m. she hasn't eaten, so then goes and eats a whole packet of biscuits and feels really shit about it and tells them they're going to start again tomorrow? Or is she someone who prioritizes herself, prioritizes her mindset, wakes up, doesn't look at her phone, comes downstairs, doesn't drink a coffee on an empty stomach and stimulate more anxiety, goes and has like a really good fucking protein-rich breakfast, spends time with her family, engages in active conversation, spends time in self-reflection, whether that's through journaling, whether that's through meditation, however you want to do that, whatever that looks like for you, and actually thinks about the things she's going to eat before she eats them, instead of getting into a place where you're so reactive that you get so overwhelmed that you're putting everything off and procrastinating everything because of your overwhelm, making life harder in the long run, but then also not actually ever coming to a place where you are able to calm and concentrate and actually think, is this moving me towards the version of myself that I actually want to be? Because if it's not, then you have to take responsibility for that. And if you're not where you want to be, and if you're not getting the results that you want, you actually have to take responsibility for that and be like, where am I letting myself down? And we don't ever say this or think about this from a place of self-flagellation. We think about it from a place of self-compassion, of like, I fucking love myself, so how can I take better care of her? All I have is me, so how can I take better care of her? All I have is this body, so how can I take better care of her? So many of us are living in reactivity because we are living in overwhelm, because we are not stopping and taking a beat and actually looking at the things that we're spending our time on. Like, I'm going to share this podcast in the forum, and underneath it, I challenge you to drop in there what your screen time is for the day. And I don't want the ifs and the buts and the, oh, well, I use my phone for work and I do this for Instagram for work and blah, 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 blah. Because I use Instagram for work, and I can tell you that my screen time scrolling is more than my screen time creating. Okay. So I would love for you to drop below where I've put this podcast what your screen time actually is on your phone and what you think it should be, and some changes that you're going to make in your life and your lifestyle from when you get up in the morning to when you go to bed at night, that are going to take you closer to the version of you that you came into the long game to create. And I say this all from a place of like feeling really shit. I just want to sit on the couch and like cry into a big bag of chips and watch Buffy the Vampire Slayer, but I'm here. I'm committed. I'm so ready to build the long game. I'm so ready to help you guys, lock arms with you on this journey and support you to get to the place that you want to be in. And I'm trying to do that by leading by example. Okay. We all have everything available to us. We all have every single goal, every single thing that you want, every single outcome, every single result that you want is available to you. We just have to start to align our lifestyle to match that version of you. Okay, keep in mind that I love you guys so much. When nothing is certain, anything is possible. I believe in you 100%, and I will hold the vision of everything that you want to create up until the moment that you can hold that for yourself, but I won't be here forever. So let's start making it happen. Let's start having the habits. Let's start determining what is going to be an absolute non-negotiable in your lifestyle, and let's start doing it.